Hello, my name is Billy Graham, and people often ask, what are the habits of successful individuals? Every single day, what do they do habitually to rank in the top 20% of incomes in our country? Aristotle once said, nevertheless, that 95% of all you do results from habit. Therefore, the goal is to establish good habits and turn them into your master instead of letting bad ones rule you. Actually, another point of view contends that whilst terrible habits are easy to develop but difficult to live with, good habits are difficult to build but easy to live with. During my study of psychology, one of the turning points in my life was realizing all behaviors are taught and can be replaced. Technically, you replace a poor habit with a strong and more influential positive one instead of unlearning a behavior. How thus may one develop a good habit? You build habits through repetition. Since almost everything you do from the moment you wake up is habit, start considering the best ones to develop. I've written a book called $1 Million Habits covering 12 crucial areas of life. Each chapter covers 20 to 30 habits, but let me share a few of the better ones with you. First, build the practice of daily goal preparation and goal alignment. Before you sleep, think about your goals for the next day. List the modest tasks you intend to do. Keep a journal and regularly write down your goals. As you go about your day, whether driving or speaking with others, keep your goals in mind. You become what you think about most of the time, and you achieve what you focus on. All successful and prosperous people continually think about their aspirations. Second, be results-oriented. Results-oriented people focus on the most crucial tasks that will move them toward achievement. They build a to-do list and prioritize things before starting. A life-changing method is this: once you have your list, ask yourself, if I could only do one item today before being called away for a month, what would it be? Circle that assignment and begin it immediately. Discipline yourself to work on it without interruption until it's done. This basic method has helped people go from rags to riches for over a century. Identify your most vital task, start it quickly, and continue with it until completion. Another key habit is becoming people-oriented. Everything you accomplish in life will entail the help, support, or participation of others. Always ask yourself, what do others need from me? How do I help them so they will want to help me in return? In sales, exceptional professionals continuously think about their customers, who they are, what they want, and how they can serve them better. Similarly, successful individuals prioritize the most critical relationships in their personal and professional lives. Next, stay health-oriented. Focus on your health daily, eat less but better, exercise often, and get enough of rest. In today's competitive world, you need a strong energy level to succeed. Proper nutrition, rest, and exercise are key to sustaining that vitality. One of the most basic habits is retaining character and honesty. Always tell the truth, no matter the cost. Integrity is a base for long-term success. Lastly, cultivate self-discipline. I've written and spoken about this for years, as self-discipline is the foundation that makes all other behaviors conceivable. The finest definition of self-discipline is the ability to make oneself do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. Anyone can act when they feel like it. It's doing it when you don't feel like it that promotes discipline and drives achievement. Thank you for watching. Now, ask yourself, what is one behavior I should create right now that will help me attain my most crucial goals? Whatever it is, practice it daily until it becomes second nature. In defining and managing your life by objectives, first ask yourself, what do I want to be, have, or do in every element of my life? If I had infinite time, money, and resources, create a dream list. Write out all you desire to achieve in the coming 5, 10, 15, or even 20 years, your entire life, if you will. Then reread that list and ask, What is the one fantastic thing I would dare to achieve if I knew I could not fail? Let that become your principal defined purpose. Once you have a clear sense of your ambitions and priorities, you can begin to organize your life. Your productivity will increase dramatically. In essence, the key to life is goal planning. Goal setting is the master skill, your skill to define targets and formulate documented methods for their achievement is the single most critical talent you can learn. An average person with clear aims would always surpass a superior individual without them. A camera now, a Suzuki camera, is exquisite and calibrated so that when you aim at something, when you would say, something, it focuses automatically. A friend of mine who's a professional photographer and gets international accolades has a DAW 10,000 Hasselblad. Nevertheless, my wife can shoot better photographs than my buddy all day, every day if my friend is not permitted to do just one thing: focus. You'll notice that a person who can focus with middling ability is substantially more effective than a person who cannot focus but has exceptional skills. Your capacity to put down your goals and make plans for their realization is the master skill of success. Now, the third key is to ask this question: why are you on the payroll? With reference to your work, why are you on the payroll? What have you been hired to accomplish? If you were to go to your supervisor, look at your job description, or verify what you are required to complete every single day, why are you on the payroll? It's the fundamental question of success in the world of work. Once you pose this question, another way of framing it is, what are your major result areas? You have been contracted to produce a range of results, but what are your primary result areas? The capacity to clearly create key result areas implies looking at all the things you have to perform and selecting your number one key result area, your number two key result area, and so on. This is the essence of outstanding performance. So, what are your major outcome areas? Why have you been hired? What are you on the payroll for? What can you and only you do that, when done truly properly, will make a major difference. Now, number 5 is, what are your key functions? Again, as part of managing by objectives and creating goals, clearly explain your major functions. Your fundamental functions are the base upon which everything else you do depends. If things are done extremely effectively, then everything else becomes secondary. For example, the principal duty of a salesperson may be seeing qualified prospects and giving presentations. If the salesperson performs that, then the sales, orders, installation, servicing, and revenues will all take care of themselves. So ask yourself, what are my core functions? The natural tendency of most people is to focus on ancillary tasks, get very busy, and lose sight of their goals. One of the most common mistakes people make is forgetting what they originally set out to achieve and being diverted by less important activities. Now, the 6th point to ask yourself is, what are your output responsibilities? What does that mean? It entails establishing what outputs your own factory has been put on the payroll to make. What outputs are expected of you? There are 4 ways to define an output. First, an output is under your control. It is something you can do without having anyone else's permission. And if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. Second, an output becomes an input for someone else. Every output is a completed job, what we call a completed staff function. In other words, when it's done, it passes from you to someone else, who then uses it as part of their work or life. The output of a factory may be a finished product, the output of a lawyer may be a completed brief, and the output of an accountant may be a financial statement. Third, an output is measured. An objective third party should be able to determine whether or not it has been done. Someone may look at it and say, yes, it's done, or no, it hasn't been done. Fourth, and most significantly, your success or failure in your profession and career is defined by the quality and quantity of your deliverables. We are on the payroll to produce outputs that are under our control, measurable, become inputs for others, and determine our success. Remember, we are not on the payroll to merely perform activities, socialize, or get along. We are on the payroll to get the work done and produce essential results. Now, the following question, number 7, is who are your customers? We are all in the business of client satisfaction. Robert W. Service stated that everybody receives their income by selling something to someone. So who are your customers? Who do you need to satisfy in order to be promoted? Your clientele are the people that determine your success or failure in your career. Sam Walton was once questioned by a journalist, wasn't it nice to be at the top of your corporation and not have to worry about pleasing anybody else? His answer was, you're wrong. He replied that he had to please his consumers every single day. He pointed to someone going through the entrance of a Walmart shop and explained, that's the person I work for. That's my boss. That's the customer. Their satisfaction determines everything that happens to me. Principle number 8 is what we call the 6-step approach of setting goals. It's pretty basic, but incredibly effective. Step 1, write out all the goals you can think of, everything you want to accomplish. Step 2, prioritize those goals. Which ones are the most important? Step 3, write down precise plans for achieving your most crucial goals. Step 4, set priorities on your plans and actions. Step 5, schedule your plans. Decide what you will do and when. Step 6, implement your plans. Get busy. This strategy may appear simple, yet the single act of completing it might change your entire life and career. Every single person requires a series of goals. You need 10-year goals, 5-year goals, 3-year goals, 1-year goals, and 6-month goals. You even need lifelong goals. Goals that regulate every facet of your life. One of the best exercises in life is to write your own obituary and ask yourself where you want to be in 3, 5, or 10 years. What do you want to be read over your grave? What kind of person do you want to become? Sometimes people argue, well, we can't set goals like this because they're too big, too challenging, or too impossible. But here's the question. What amazing thing would you dare to conceive if you knew you could not fail? There are no such things as unattainable ambitions, only unreasonable time frames. Now, number 10 is to ask yourself, what are the difficulties that lie between you and your goals? What is keeping you from getting from where you are to where you want to go? What is the number 1 obstacle? The biggest single obstacle? And what could you do starting now to eradicate it? Number 11 is, what folks do you need to work with to reach your goal? Whose cooperation do you require to accomplish your goal? And what's in it for them? Who are the most significant people? Members of your family, your company, your coworkers, your supervisor, and so on. Identify the folks whose support you require. The 12th question is, what further knowledge do you need to attain your goal? What experience, skills, or information is necessary? What is the most critical piece of knowledge, talent, or information you require to get from where you are to where you want to go? So, here is it. Decide what you want. Identify the barriers blocking you. Choose whose aid you require. Figure out the additional information you need. And then arrange and implement. Number 13 is, what is the limiting step between you and your goal? The limiting step becomes a goal since it determines the speed at which you accomplish your destination. This is the choke point, the critical factor, the bottleneck between you and where you want to go. Identify that limiting step. Number 14 represents the yearning for clarity. The more precise you are about your goals and objectives, the easier it is to accomplish them. The clearer your mental picture of reality, the more likely it is that you will advance step by step toward your goal. Clarity increases visualization, And we know that all successful men and women visualize their goals vividly in their thoughts before realizing them. The more time you spend writing out your goals and correctly articulating them, especially picturing what fulfillment looks like, the more likely you are to succeed. All of these exercises, dreaming large, setting down goals, selecting priorities, establishing plans, scheduling, and implementing, help you gain crystal clear clarity about what you're attempting to do. Ask yourself every single day, why am I on the payroll? What have I been hired to accomplish? What are my key result areas? If you could only complete one item each day at your job, what would make the greatest contribution? If you could only perform in one area, which would contribute the most to your career? Number 15 is to dream big. All genuinely successful people develop the habit of thinking big and then making their aspirations come true. Dreamers are the movers and shakers, the ones who make things happen. Have enormous dreams for yourself. Dream of being a huge success, reaching the top of your field, excelling, and achieving excellence in your chosen job. Finally, the last step on objectives, write and change your goals every single day. Every morning, establish a clear declaration of what you want to accomplish, where you want to go, and what you want to do. If someone woke you up at 300 a.m. and asked, what do you want to do with your life? What are your major goals? You should be able to answer swiftly. Define what you desire when you want to obtain it, how you'll judge success, and how it will be done. Write and analyze your goals every morning and plan your time effectively. Developing the goal, setting master talent is crucial for success. Once you have identified goals and priorities, your ability to keep to them is crucial for personal and professional efficiency. In this session, we'll cover key ideas and guidelines for defining priorities and doing more. A recent study of 4 CEOs asked them what traits would put a young person on the fast road to career success. More than 85% agreed. The ability to choose priorities, the ability to differentiate the pertinent from the unimportant is key. Discussions with thousands of managers reveal a common frustration. Personnel that do not focus on the most critical jobs. Let's discuss about some key strategies for setting priorities. The first key is the 80-20 rule. Most people have heard of it. It's called the Pareto principle, named after Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto in 1895. He discovered that over big samples, 20% of what you do accounted for 80% of your outcomes. Similarly, 20% of your clients create 80% of your business. Your sales reveal that 20% of your goods account for 80% of your earnings, and 20% of your transactions occupy 80% of the time involved. This is what the 80-20 rule tells us. It means you should continually be assessing what you do and ask yourself, what are the 20% of the activities that are most critical to my performance, both in the short and long term? Take a step back and look at your entire firm and ask, what are the 20% of actions that bring you the largest return on investment? The second aspect to determining priorities is distinguishing between what's urgent and what's noteworthy. This is one of the most basic factors in excellent time management. There are 4 types of duties you deal with daily, which can be separated into 4 quadrants. These quadrants enable you to determine whether jobs are urgent or not, and if they are significant or not. Quadrant 1, urgent and important. These are things like phone calls, unexpected visitors, urgent crises, and problems that demand immediate attention. Most people spend most of their time here, responding to urgent and presumably significant matters. Quadrant 2, important but not urgent. These are the critical duties for your long-term success, like developing skills, working on long-term objectives, or spending time with family. These are the chores you must focus on to increase your productivity and success. Quadrant 3, urgent but not crucial. These are diversions that feel urgent but don't truly add to your achievement. An example might be a minor phone call that disrupts your workflow. Quadrant 14, neither urgent nor important. Activities that squander your time, including casually reading the internet or engaged in little chores that have no long-term worth. Most people become imprisoned between quadrants 1 and 3, wasting their time on urgent activities that aren't actually necessary. They may even resort to quadrant 4 behaviors to ease stress. To be more effective, focus on quadrant 2, the activities that are important but not urgent. By working on these chores, you enhance your productivity and set the foundation for long-term success. These activities, although not urgent, will eventually become urgent if left unaddressed, frequently when it's too late. The third technique to setting priorities is to ask yourself, what are my personal values? Aligning your goals with your values is crucial for effective performance. When your goals are linked with your beliefs, you perform at your best. When there's a contradiction between your principles and your ambitions, performance suffers. Therefore, you must identify what matters most to you, what you stand for, why you do what you do, and ensure your goals are connected with these convictions. Discover your individual strengths. Successful people always take the time to reflect on their talents and abilities. What comes naturally to you that others struggle with? Leaders are persons who focus on leveraging their special qualities to achieve excellence in their areas of competence. The fifth element is to identify your better others. Among all the things you do, what do you excel at? Where do you make a major impact? Identifying this can help you focus your efforts and accelerate your career. The sixth key is to ask yourself, what is your area of mastery? High achievers succeed at one or a few things, and they continuously focus on becoming even better at them. Mastery in these areas leads to increased productivity. The top 3% of performers make significantly more because they're very excellent in a few things, and they focus on strengthening those strengths. To identify priorities, ask yourself, what can I cut? The seventh key is recognizing your high-value tasks. What are the duties that you alone can exert influence on your business or organization? These high-value activities are the reason you're on the payroll. They are the important areas where your effort makes the most contribution. Never fall into the trap of spending your time on minor tasks when you still have been, on the payroll. More valuable things to focus on. The eighth key is using the ABCDE approach to prioritize effectively. The ABCDE technique is often used in time management to categorize assignments according on their importance and urgency. Tasks are ranked as follows. Tasks, these are the utmost priority. You must perform these swiftly. B, tasks important but not urgent. Do these once you've done A, duties. C, tasks, these are fine to achieve but don't actually matter. You can accomplish these if you have spare time. D, duties, delegate these jobs to others if possible. E, tasks, eliminate these tasks. They're unneeded and don't add to your aims. By following this strategy, you may dramatically boost your productivity and ensure that you're working on the most crucial things that will propel you forward. Your A tasks are your most vital jobs, things that have large negative ramifications if you don't do them. Your B chores are also necessary, but the ramifications of dismissing them aren't as severe. Your C tasks are things that are great to undertake when you have time. We also have a notion called completion by deletion, which suggests lowering the activities that are excellent to accomplish. So you may focus more on your A and B duties. Your D chores are items you should delegate, and your E tasks are those you should eliminate altogether. Eliminating duties is one of the quickest techniques to boost your efficiency. Ask yourself, what can I eliminate? What can I delegate? What can I delete? you'll typically discover that your A tasks make up only about 20% of what you complete, but they account for 80% of your results. Now, let's move on to the 9th principle. Always ask yourself, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? This is the key question in time management. It keeps you focused and aligned with your optimum potential. Ask this question repeatedly and then dedicate yourself to that task. It's the most critical thing you can do for remaining on track. Next, number 100, do the right things. A, rather than merely doing things right, the worst mistake is doing something well that shouldn't be done at all. If a task isn't worth doing, it's not worth doing perfectly. So focus on the things that matter most. How do you identify the correct things? You need to ask, what are the things I must do? What has the largest impact? What are the 20% of tasks that provide 80% of the value? Do those things, not the easy or fun ones. Key number 11 is to do the most vital chores first and stay with them until they're accomplished. Prioritize your first stuff and focus totally on them, leaving the second things stay incomplete till later. The 12th key is bravery, the fortitude to prioritize. This entails having the strength to put off less important chores in favor of those that make the biggest contribution. It takes fortitude to commit to your priorities, but each time you do, you earn this vital leadership characteristic. This leads to number 13, which demands courage, establishing posteriori. If you intend to set new priorities, you must also let go of old ones. The rule is simple. You can't start something new without stopping something old. To moving on, you must abandon old behaviors, relationships, and pursuits that no longer benefit you. Number 14 is to always select the future over the past. Focus on tomorrow's opportunities, not yesterday's woes. Too many people squander their time addressing previous troubles or assigning blame. Instead, keep asking, where do we go from here? Stay solution-oriented and future-focused. The 15th key to picking priorities is focusing on opportunities. Since you'll spend the remainder of your life in the future, think about what actions you may pursue today that will pay off in the long term. Always have a future-oriented mindset. It's the signature of extraordinary thinkers. Ask yourself, what can I do today that will lead to the greatest future benefits? Number 16 is to examine the long-term impact of your current actions. This theory, known as futurity, asks, what favorable influence will this have in 1, 5, 10, or 20 years? Research on successful people reveals that those with the longest temporal horizon achieve the greatest. The more they thought about the future, the more successful they became. In contrast, persons who focused exclusively on short-term satisfaction typically struggled. Long-term thinking leads to better accomplishment. Success is an attitude, and the crucial attitude for success is thinking long-term. Practice delayed gratification. Work hard today to enjoy the results tomorrow. One of the easiest techniques to determine priorities is to ask yourself, what's the most important use of my time right now for my long-term success? And then focus on that.